Hello, dear aspirants. I am Akriti Kanchi, your mentor from Prep IAS. Today is 8th April, and I'm ready with the must-read articles for 8th April. And so let's start with the today's newspaper. And there is a lot of information for prelims and also for some of mains related answers. So let's start with today's newspaper. We'll directly go to the editorial page. Now, this is happening a federal issue between Tamil Nadu and center, right? Inconclusive chapter. This comes under GS paper 2, federal issue between center and state. So, President Draupadi Murmu withholding assent for Tamil Nadu admission to undergraduate medical degree courses bill. That is anti-NEET bill. They don't want to be the part of central NEET examination. The state is bracing for another battle against need-based admissions. Okay, so president is able to do this under Article 200, where governor can reserve the article for president's consideration. Okay, so the framers of the constitution had incorporated Article 254 clause 2, empowering the president to grant assent to bills repugnant to central laws on concurrent list matters. NEET has been consistently upheld by the Supreme Court of India too. So this issue is ongoing. You can use it as an example, one of the example where there is a center-state federal issue. Okay, federal. There are a lot of questions about federal issues in mains answers. Okay. Next article about this: India's aviation arbitration cases will still fly off overseas. So this article comes under GS paper 3, economy paper, infrastructure, airports, airways. So what has happened? Before 2024, India was ruled by, the aircraft law, Aircraft Act of 1934, that is British colonial law, which was not designed to for expanding airways of a country, but for a British control over the system. That's why it was not helping our our system, right? So that's why that legal inertia had led to significant challenges for India's aviation sector. Like private and public airlines had faced bureaucratic delays, new ventures struggled, cumbersome licensing process, air traffic management was inefficient, fundamental issues such as passenger compensation for flight delays or cancellation were not adequately addressed. But a very good thing has happened. A new act, Bharatiya Vayu Yan Adhiniyam 2024 has marked a new era. It has replaced 1934 Colonial Act. Okay, so a lot of good things it has done: streamlining licensing procedures, tackling the inefficiencies of air traffic management. It aims to position India as a global leader in aviation. Passengers also stand to benefit because there is enhanced rights and compensation mechanism for delays and cancellation. Okay, but there is one issue according to the editor, which is arbitration. Okay, and the legal framework which is used to resolve international disputes to India's current framework. So it doesn't have any provision for arbitration or disputes regarding the this airways and this airlines and things like that. So India's current framework for that is governed by Arbitration and Conciliation Act of 1996, which does not address the unique needs of aviation disputes, because aviation disputes need specialized knowledge of technical matters, international treaties, and India's court and arbitration does not have that expertise. Okay, so aviation comes. So that's why India will not be a preferred venue for dispute resolution. This is the challenge which is remaining. Right? Though there is Delhi International Arbitration Center and Mumbai Center for International Arbitration, but Singapore International Arbitration Center currently handles around 90% of corporate arbitration cases involving Indian parties. This lack of infrastructure for specialized sectors such as aviation makes India underdeveloped shows, and it is not for good for India's global standing, and it also leads to lost revenue for Indian arbitrators. So we need neutrality, transparency, and institutional strength in arbitration for aviation. Okay, let's move to the next article. This article talks about employment issues shaping a future ready workforce. This comes under GS paper 3 of economy and employment issues. This article is using two reports which are talking about new dynamics that will happen in employment area, jobs area, and what are the new forces that will decide it. Okay, so World Economic Forum's Future of Job Reports 2025, World Economic Forum's Future of Job Report, QS World Future Skill Index. Okay, so they are offering a roadmap for government and universities to address the pressing challenges of today's world. Okay, so there are several forces that are driving today's labor force market. There are technological change, digital access, technological change, and digital access. There are also economic factors like job displacement, okay, reshapement of industries. Climate change will be seen as a dual rate, a new opportunity in renewable energy, and a lot of older kind of jobs might go obsolete, okay, and it requires adaptation to geopolitical tension. So it will lead to a dynamic labor market which will be characterized by job creation and also job displacement. So 170 million new jobs are projected and 90 billions will be obsolete. So it requires workforce training, wage increases, employee well-being, analytical thinking, resilience, technological literacy, big data specialists and AI engineers will see the substantial growth. So it is saying that the findings of this report said the urgency of aligning educational strategies with the evolving demands of the global economy is required. Okay. So educational institution must proactively prepare students for a competitive job market. Soft skills should be emphasized upon, right? And deficiencies in fostering entrepreneurial and innovative mindset has to be worked upon, right? Robust collaboration among academia, industry, and policymakers is required. A green curriculum is imperative. Faculty to development is another area for reform. Okay, let's move to the next article. So this article is case for a fair seat allocation, GS paper 2, constitution, delimitation. We know under article 82 of constitution, on the completion of each census, the seats of the Lok Sabha are required to be readjusted to reflect the increased population in the number of seats. That is what is delimitation. Article 1 of the constitution proclaims that India shall be union of states. Arrangement or rearrangement of the competent unit should be on the basis of equity. Right? So delimitation is the act of fixing or refixing the boundaries of constituencies, and delimitation commission only after the census is taken. Till date, 4 delimitation commission has been set up. This was asked in 2024 prelims paper, right? And the South Indian states have fear of, that they will lose political importance in the event of readjustments of the seats in the Lok Sabha. This is an ongoing issue that we will keep discussing. Okay, let's move to the next article. There is a quiz which is important from freedom struggle and art and culture point of view. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, okay, he is the writer for our national song, Vande Mataram. He died on this day in 1894. There is a quiz on the Bengal. He was a very important part of Bengal Renaissance. Some facts, his time period, you should remember, 1838 to 1894, okay, around 50, around you can say 50 plus 56 years. Okay, so they're talking about this literary magazine was edited by Chattopadhyay, that is Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, and later by Rabindranath Tagore. Which was this magazine? This was Banga Darshan. Okay, Vande Mataram, the national song, was part of one book written by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, which was that novel. Okay, so Vande Mataram national song was first published as part of a novel. That novel was Anand Mat. It was written in 1882, which was, and Vande Mataram is in both, it is a mixed language of Sanskrit and Bengali, okay, and it talks about Sannyasi rebellion. Anand Mat talks about Sannyasi rebellion, which has, some stanzas of Vande Mataram, okay. Tagore once referred to Chattopadhyay by a Sanskrit term, which is also one of the India's foremost fashion designer, which is Kaviraj, okay. And last, this Vaishnava religious movement of 14th and 15th century. There was a Vaishnava movement in Bengal in 14th and 15th century, which inspired Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, which was this movement? It was Gaudiya Vaishnavism led by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu time was 1486 to 1534. This was the time when Mughals, his ending was leading to Mughals were coming in 1520s, right? So you should remember, because they do ask contemporaries of Bhakti leaders. There has been a question about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in mains in 2018. Let's move to the next article. This article is just important from prelims point of view, and also from GS2 health issue, GS papered health issue. Non-communicable diseases can strike early. Health risk rise post-menopause. So health of the nation report prepared by Apollo group of people. So they are saying non-communicable diseases begin when they're children only. Okay. So there are increased health risks for women post-menopause. There's risk in diabetes, obesity, fatty liver, and hypertension. Okay. So rise in obesity with age. 28% of college students are overweight, whereas 8% of primary school students are overweight. Okay, so from 8% primary students, the college students are 28% overweight. So it is increasing with increase in age because of the unhealthy food that we are eating. Okay, another concern was the concern of fatty liver. This can be asked in prelims. 65% of 2.5 lakh individuals screened, 65% people had fatty liver. Okay, and even when they were not taking any alcohol. So fatty liver is now classified as metabolic dysfunction associated steatotic liver disease, steatotic liver disease, which is driven by obesity, diabetes, hypercholesterolemia, not an alcohol alone. Okay, so you should know about fatty liver issue, what all causes it. Okay, it's not just by alcohol. Let's move to the next article. Last article on the science page. It's clear now iron inside the sun is more opaque than expected. So there is a research, ongoing research. Okay, so you should just know that what is it into. So temperature of the sun is determined to a great degree by the opacity of minerals within it. Okay, this comes under GS paper 3, awareness in the fields of space. Okay, so what is opaque? When light of an when how much light of an object absorbs is called its opacity. The more it absorbs the light, the more opaque it is. Okay, and transparent material which lets the light pass through it. Okay, that is about the opacity, and it's talking about a lot of stars and suns. Stars are the universe's engine. We can't understand the universe if we don't understand how stars work. They provide energy to the planets around. Their mass deflects asteroids and comets. Asteroids and comets' paths are also defined by them, and the flares energize nearby gas clouds and increase the formation of other stars. When a star dies, it releases copious amounts of metals and other elements in the universe that aren't made in any other natural process, because stars are composed of such kind of things. We find that our seismic opacity is about 10% higher than theoretical values used in current solar models, okay, but lower by 35% than some recently available theoretical values. So we still don't know what is the seismic opacity of sun or other stars. It's an ongoing research. Last article of the day, Kashmir's less known spring blooms. Okay, so Kashmir has very difficult winters. It's all frozen, full of ice. So when spring comes, the entire Kashmir starts blooming in flowers and its biodiversity. Okay, this comes under GS paper 1, Indian geography. It's India's flora and fauna. Okay, so Kashmir's agroclimatic conditions are distinct from rest of the country because it faces harsh winter, right? So that's the vegetation is in dormancy, but it has variety of endemic plants, okay, like herbs, shrubs. Few of the biodiversity or endemic plants are mentioned here. Try and remember them. Colchicum luteum, which is called Veercom. Okay, it's a delicate yet vibrant bloom. Another is Sternbergia vernalis, gold tor. Sternbergia vernalis, golden yellow flower that marks the arrival of spring. Salix, bread mushuk, a plant with significant cultural and ecological value. Viburnum grandiflorum kulmansh is a shrub with large pink flowers and daffodils whose bright yellow and white hues symbolize renewal. Okay, they serve as vital food sources for pollinators, ensuring the pollination of horticultural fruit. So pollinators also breed on this, lives on these flowers. Okay, and pollinators leads to horticultural fruit trees. Okay, and the valley's vast altitudinal variation from 1600 meters till 4500 meters provides a range of altitude and climate for the crops. A lot of crops have medicinal, cultural, and therapeutic benefits. Okay, but what are the challenges it is facing? Unsustainable development activities, deforestation, increasing human encroachment. Climate change has started to alter the blooming patterns. February has become warmer, so flowering, there is a premature flowering in the region, which is disrupting the natural cycle of the flora of the region. Okay, that's it for 8th April. Thank you.